You're welcome to Breakfast Central, the midweek edition here on News Central TV. The best way and the right way to start your day. I am Benga Borowa.
And I am Olive Emodi, very excited to be here. First of all, I want to give a very big shout out to Inter Milan and Barcelona for giving us a game that we will not forget in such a long time. What a game indeed. I'm sure that everybody will agree that both parties really brought their best foot forward. But then, congratulations. I wonder who my colleagues thought was going to
I mean, that's the beauty of football. You know, it's end-to-end drama and very unpredictable. Joe likes basketball. He watches a lot. He's a basketball head. But I wonder how you stay in a game where they've scored 120 points. I mean, it becomes monotonous. Yeah,
like
it's a lot.
Yesterday's one now,
how do you separate your excitement? And you're equally excited about football too. So
I mean, let me use the political.
Fan, right?
Sorry?
You're an Inter Milan fan, right?
In Italy,
Chelsea.
In Italy, I love anywhere Ronaldo goes, I go. So in Italy, I love Juventus. I used to love Inter Milan because you had Nigerian greats who played then one called Kanu, Taribo West, and the likes, Emmanuel Amunike. So I loved Inter Milan. Then my favorite coach, Jose Mourinho, was there as well. So I loved Inter, but I had to switch to Juve because Cristiano Ronaldo was there. You know, very amazing players. But yesterday, but in all of this conversation, I like somebody got hit yesterday. A man of God had prophesied what will happen.
I
don't know if we have the video on cue.
Please, people should not drag him.
You know, I don't know if we have the video on cue, please.
Let
me see. Do I have that video?
No. Is it what I think you're
predicted
that Barcelona was going to.
Inter Milan will lose and Barcelona will get into the final. And they will play the final.
I don't know if it's the same person I think I'm talking about.
You see, one of our guests on paper said, I think pastors should run away from prophesying football or sports.
You can't.
They never get it right. Yeah. And then what happens? My question is, what happens when they fail? Do the congregants feel that, oh, this man is, after all, is not a man of God because he's not a seer. He can't really predict the future? What happens?
They prayed against it and he went the other way.
With
the strongest player.
It's altar against altar. The truth is, when it comes to football like this, you can go in the place of intercession and you begin to cover and you begin to turn things in favor of your preferred team.
So the prophecy can change.
Only change.
Yeah, by the way, why do you support Chelsea when a lot of I mean, if you do a poll, many undesirable elements in society.
The people he's always criticizing, the people he refers to street urchins that you're always criticizing.
That's a lie. That's a lie. I don't agree. That's true. I don't agree because even the street urchins are Arsenal fans.
That's not true.
Fact.
I'm not an Arsenal fan, but that's
most
not true. Majority of them are Chelsea fans.
You know, by virtue of supporting Chelsea, it's a result of the fact that one of their favorite, bottles, what they take is so they get confused. They get confused. They think it's the same brand, but I've spoken. It's not the same brand. This one is not the same brand. So we're premium. They just feel that you know what they call brand association. You just want to associate with the brand.
Those guys are Chelsea.
Chelsea and Chelsea. No wonder he has a hint of blue in his outfit today. Again, just saying, really, they gave us a game that one will not forget. Many have argued that this might be the best game that they've seen in UCL in the longest time. But then again, we move away from sports and now get into politics. I mean, yes, just to mention, people said that game should have actually been the final.
Yeah.
That it was deserving of a final. That's the first time in a long time that you see that everybody, regardless of whether you are a Barca fan or you are an Inter Milan fan or you're neutral, everybody was glued and they were excited. Everybody could agree that
it was a good game of football. But like my friends in Minnesota will say, it's a good game of soccer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move away from soccer to talk about something very interesting. Yesterday, we got reports that now there'll be the renewed Hope Nigeria First policy, and what this policy would ensure would be that where there are local options for the production of certain goods and services, these goods and services will not be imported. And where there are no local options and there's an importation that should happen, then there will be in the agreement that will be signed, there will be an agreement for technology transfer and training of locals, domesticated or domesticating this skill, product or service. And the question now is this the banning of the importation, many would ask, is it putting the cart before the horse? Recall that when we talked about the solar panels and the potential of banning solar panels, the actual conversation was whether we could produce local capacity enough to meet the demand. But let's take again a look at the policies and what they entail. It says no foreign procurement without justification. There will be technology transfer and skills. We'll be prioritizing local content, revised procurement guidelines. So currently, every procurement guidelines in MDAs will be revised. Local content compliance framework, register of local suppliers, and there'd also be audit and revision of procurement plans, government-led initiative, promoting national pride, and and the likes. And then in all of this, if you do not comply, there'll be a sanction. The reports that we have is that moving forward from this, there should be an executive order in motion that would officially kick this, but that this goes into effect now. MDAs will start to review their current procurement policies to ensure that it reflects the renewed Hope Nigeria First policy. And of course, this automatically reminds us of Donald Trump's America First. Quite
commendable, but I think it's coming too late, and it sounds like if Donald Trump didn't do it, they won't do it. But let's leave that aside. Very commendable initiative, but what I want to see is government first. Let them practice it for 2 years and lead by example. Then Nigerians will follow suit. Yeah. And also, this shouldn't be an avenue for customs extreme revenue drive, because they're always breaking their own records every quarter at the expense of Nigerians that are just trying to have a better lease of life. When I say this, for example, the duties on batteries and solar panels, they're extremely expensive, and we don't have the capacity to meet local demand. So please, can you put like a waiver or make the import duties minimal? And also car importation. When you see that there's an 80, at least when we get to 40 or 50% production capacity, you can increase the waiver accordingly, because people are, how many people can buy new cars now? It's just ridiculous.
It's really,
and you can't limit us to the few Nigerian manufacturers that we have. So but I like that, what the idea of technology transfer, like that's what the United States did to Toyota and Mitsubishi. They said, look, you can't keep importing all those cars. You either set up plants here in the United States and employ American citizens to work in those plants and produce. And we had that with the Pan automobile in Kaduna, the Peugeot and Peugeot automobile Nigeria. So we can also look at that. We used to have it with Dunlop in the past. So it's a great thing.
I think for me, it's a good one. The likes of Innocent, Nord would be celebrating now, but we hope their celebration is not short-lived, because it's one thing to say, it's another thing to do it. I like the fact that there will be punishments for agencies and parastatals that refuse to comply. But let's see this punishment will actually, take effect. Another thing is, we've seen an example of the CNG, where the government has preached CNG. They've done all they can, but we barely have seen, people in the government offices, those who hold offices, really use the CNGs. It's a case to say we but let's see it happen. Now they're saying, let's do Nigeria first. Let's push Nigeria first. It shouldn't just be a word of mouth. Let's see if it's going to be practicable. That's for me. It's going to be practicalized. People would see that, oh, Nigeria first. This means that for leather, it means a whole lot. And let me just say it here. I think, in as much as sometimes we come on air and we talk about some things that the government should do and shouldn't do, we must say that this is very commendable. And if the government decides to take a step to better the lives of its citizens or Nigerians, then we'll say, well done, kudos. You know where I was going.
I knew where you were going to.
It's fine.
But then again, that's it. Just to add that when we're thinking of this, Nigerians will of course get excited that their products and services are being prioritized. The raw materials that we use to make these products and services, do we have those raw materials, or are they also going to be imported? Have we also considered the potential of our porous borders and the fact that if people cannot access it because there's legislation against it, they will still try to bring it through the black market? So, it is basically trying to figure out how we can ensure that, we tighten our borders to prevent an influx? You know, and is there really any difference from this and our local content policy?
Yeah.
So basically, I know that this is a conversation that will flesh out more during the course of the conversations this morning, and you know, subsequent shows during the week would look deeper into what this will mean for employment in Nigeria. Does it in any way increase or alter the numbers when we look at the statistics? Are there projections for how it would alter employment stats? And then also the valuation of the Naira, because maybe we're not doing a lot of importation and relying on FX.
Exactly. So, I mean, on paper, it's positive. We also have to provide the enabling environment for the small businesses to be able to scale up. Because there will be lots of demand for made in Nigeria products. Are they ready? Are you giving them tax breaks? Are you allowing them to able to scale up so they can meet the demand? These are conversations
I really like this clip. I like this clip because the initial part was like,
to Nigerian politicians, at least in appearance, they are Nigeria first. They always wear Nigeria for most of them. And to Governor Alex Otti, his official car is he uses an innocent
and so we look for, by the time they're going to be buying vehicles for all the lawmakers, which they're going to do almost every other time. Let's see what
Mr. Kiyama once said that made in Nigeria plane was in the pipeline. I hope they can also use that one.
You see,
are you going to fly it now?
No, so they have to test it.
You see, that's taking it too far. Relax.
Are you looking down?
You know that statement I said, relax.
No,
relax.
We have
I think we should relax.
We have not finished with Nigeria Air.
Let's not rush it.
We will get there.
We'll get there. First things first, for me, I think at this juncture, let me also mention that we're expecting the opposition, one person who has been a critique and has continued to push for this Nigeria first. Sometimes when we talk, let's also try to look at the background and the history. We're not trying to say that the president hasn't done something fantastic or good. This is very good. This is commendable.
But somebody has been saying
it since. And in case you do not know who has been saying it, the president happens to be a critic of the government. And we're talking about Mr. Peter Obi.
We need to move
He has been saying it. Move from a consumption to what? Production. He has been saying it. So
better late than never.
Now that the president has listened, many of his supporters, as Mr. Peter Obi will say, the president has listened to what he has said. But we don't care at this juncture who listens or who doesn't listen. The fact is, the president has come out to say, okay, now, and we hope that Mr. Peter Obi would put out a statement now to commend the president for having decided to, take that. What's that thing? He said the economy has taken a turn, taking that turn to say, okay, let's do Nigeria first. And we think it's very critical at this point. So the Nigeria first policy is one that we hope it's not just on paper, but it's actually going to translate from paper to practicalization, making it work. Hopefully, it does work.
And I'm glad that we had this conversation before the next one we're going to have, because in a way I think they're interrelated. Do you want to take it?
Okay. Well, the next one has to do with the fact that the UK is set to restrict visa applications from Nigeria and also Pakistan.
What did we do?
What did Nigeria do?
Because you people will travel and overstay your visa. That's the issue.
Period.
You stay and then you ask for asylum. That's what they're
But
saying.
you just came back from the UK. Why are you not staying there?
Not really.
You're a very good example.
Yes.
A model citizen.
A model citizen, I am. I agree. I don't overstay my visa. I already know when my next visa is going to expire.
That's right.
And I'll plan towards it to renew my visa to the UK.
Then one of the reasons you don't overstay is you're always excited to come back to Breakfast Central.
Exactly. I mean, how will I cope being in the UK for more than 2 weeks, knowing that I won't get to see your handsome face?
I mean, guys, if I go to the UK, I really want to, I don't know if I'm going to come back.
I beg you, you will come back.
I mean, you pass through the UK every day. You pass through Osapa, London, so...
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like home, regardless. And to be honest, I think the UK is starting to become very...
accessible.
Yeah, very accessible one. I remember that prior to this conversation, the UK had put out a statement that the number of Nigerians seeking asylum is staggering. We had talked about it, over 2,000 plus. The numbers are so high when they compared it to years before. They saw that the numbers before were, in comparison to what we have today. It seems like every single Nigerian just wants to take the next flight straight to the UK and find themselves
But this
there.
is very biased. I mean, out of how many countries in the world, why do you single out Nigeria?
So maybe the Home Office is working with statistics.
And Pakistan.
So maybe the Home Office is working with certain statistics
which is what they do.
So it has to be the numbers. The numbers have to have influenced this policy. And again, why I would say
do you think some other people are claiming Nigeria?
No, I don't think no. The UK doesn't play with documentation. Like, they're very, very strict with their documentation. The way that I see it, if we're saying pro-Nigeria, Nigeria first, everybody's doing pro their country. America is saying America first, Nigeria is saying Nigeria first.
I like it.
Say, everybody face your country. Again, it's a wake-up call for us to fix our country.
I love it.
And make Nigeria that country that people are excited to come
You
to.
love it. It might affect her.
No,
I love it.
How does it work then?
So then it's not that they're saying they will not give visas to people. They're just saying that they're going to be a lot stricter with reviewing applications to ensure they're going to look at your financial status. They're going to look at the fact that your travel history, which is typically what they do anyway. The UK denies people regularly if they're not convinced that your bank history, for example, shows that you're able to sustain the trip. The UK's rating system is by points. Even when you're applying, they're looking at, okay, how much are you spending? You have to be very detailed in your application. How many days are you staying? They want to be sure you're not coming to burden one of their citizens. So if you're putting that, I'm going to stay my auntie's place, or I'm going to stay my uncle's place, or one of my friends, and your application might be standing on one leg. So at the end of the day, I think, sorry, at the end of the day, I think that they're trying to prioritize their citizens. And then I hope that this is some sort of a wake-up call for us here in Nigeria.
Yo, brother, come on, please.
But thank you so much for that free consular advice you just. I mean, if you were to charge for that, they will be paying you.
How come we don't have water?
It's coffee we're drinking.
Producer, please, let's get the coffee and the water.
Yeah, please. Don't make this a problem.
So please, if you have plans of going to the UK, listen to Olive's advice and make sure you get your documentation right.
But it's a fact. It's a fact. You can't go in there without your documentation. I don't know why I'm not excited about the UK.
Let me also say them ban Nigerians for 100 years. I'm not interested.
Please.
The only thing I want to go and do in UK is visit St. James's Park. Newcastle. And once I check that,
I think we should plan that from today.
Breakfast and travel.
No, let's talk about it after the show.
Well,
let's
plan. The reason is because, for me, to be honest, the UK, London in particular, feels in a way like Nigeria. It's just a cooler version of Nigeria. Because you're there, it feels like you're with your family, your friends. Almost Nigeria, there are lots of Nigerians there. So please, they should not. Maybe I know ban that.
It's one of your favorite travel destinations.
Yes, it feels like my second house.
I wish we did the planning earlier because Newcastle is taking on Chelsea next. You know, it would have been a good game for us to watch at St. James's Park.
Yeah, who is going to present the show with me?
No, it doesn't matter. We'll join you from there. It's just going to be like
all three of us. We do from the UK.
Yeah, maybe. But trust me, just to wrap this segment of this part off, I agree that everybody's doing my country first. In other words, in Pidgin English, they say, now my own first. You know, my own no go spoil. So it means that if everybody focuses on their own, trust me, the West is not happy with Nigeria. It's not going to be happy with Nigeria first.
Oh, yes, and we're taking very valuable forests. We're going to help the economy.
Universities. Do you know how many forest students contribute to the UK's economy?
Quite a lot.
So it might impact them as well. But I think the concern for us here in Nigeria is how are they going to be able to balance ensuring that they uphold this and then they're not in any way discriminated, because what we don't want to see is a situation where Nigerians are flying with other people and then they'll single you out because of the passport. So you move to the right.
The Nigeria First policy, Mr. President, next time you want to go on a walking visit, there's Obudukato Ranch, there's Ikogos Warm Springs, there's Yankari Games Reserve. So you can look at how you could develop, choose any one of these 6 geopolitical zones, and also your ministerial retreats. Do it there. It brings a lot of money and value to the economy.
And then it will also help us to focus on our healthcare system.
Exactly.
Nigeria first. Fix the. You see, I'm so happy with the policy.
I really am happy.
They must follow it.
If it does not work, then we will now be able to say, Oga, come.
And even Nigeria first in terms of our education, to ensure that a number of our politicians can then bring their children back to Uniben, UI, Delsu, and all the likes here. So that's a very great one.
Anyway, let's move away from that story. Talking about the foreign, trips to the UK. Just in case you do not know, in the UK they use, of course, the pounds, but in America they use the dollar. And talking about dollar, you may have seen some videos of celebrities spraying dollar since Naira it has its own, challenges when you spray it at parties. Why? Because the anti-graft agency, EFCC, Economic Crimes Commission, will be watching. Yes, they would. But one person was invited, and that is actress Iyabo Ojo, that she confirmed that she got the invitation after her daughter's wedding. But let's take a look at our tweets. And during her daughter's wedding, you could see some, attendees who were spraying dollar. Now, she says, following the recent media publication on social media, numerous calls and text messages from different quarters seeking to hear from me on the EFCC invitation to ascertain my welfare, I find it expedient to release this briefing. She said she was invited to the EFCC after receiving an invitation letter while she was in the UK. And when she went there, UK, yeah, I had to say that clearly, UK. Now, upon her return, she visited the EFCC on the 5th of 2025 in the month of May. She was asked several questions relating to her personal biodata, career, work experience, companies, amongst others. And they also asked that they saw a video from her daughter's wedding where guests, including her colleagues, were spraying, naira and foreign currencies. And they asked her if she knew it was illegal. She said, but she knows that mutilation of naira is illegal, but not that of foreign currency like dollar. And they told her it is also not allowed. And she said, Agbebaku. In other words, she spoke to her lawyer, and the lawyer stood in for her. She said, at the end of the day, she said, I commend the EFCC officials for this candor, respect, and civility. And then she warns her colleagues to be careful. It's not just about naira now. The FCC is saying, if you spray any, I don't think that's not happy with this.
Come out and give us the official stand on this, or maybe it's the officer on duty she interacted with. Why would you say, what's your business with dollars? And why would you say any currency? And besides, this whole conversation of around naira abuse, and it's just becoming too much. In the height of the military government, they didn't do this. We're in a civil democratic space. There's some cultures that we have. And, when people started stepping on money, throwing it up, mutilating the naira, people said, you're taking it too far. You're doing the most, exactly. You're abusing the naira. And they decided, okay, next, please have it in a carton, drop it, don't mutilate, don't squeeze the naira. And I think that's decent. It's part of our culture. And now you just want to end all of this. There are no spraying of money in parties. Who gave you the right to do that? I mean, you're not abusing the naira by doing that. You're exchanging gifts. It's a cultural thing. And besides, why is the EFCC concerned with this? We have people that have stolen billions and billions of naira. They have an entire case file. The other day we had the gentleman lawyer that was here. He said EFCC lawyers, they have a will, because they do media trial, they rush to the courts without preparing their case, and that's why they always lose the cases. So the time you're using to chase down people that are spraying naira, please focus on your primary responsibility. You're the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Your primary duty is you're not CBN or Nigerian Printing, Minting and Security Company, that you're worried about the naira. The other day, a TikToker in Kaduna was doing a video with 55 naira was spraying, and then they arrested him. He boasted that EFCC, come and arrest me. I dare you to arrest me. And they arrested him. It might sound funny, but this is just frivolous. On the scale of the economic, look at Transparency International indices of Nigeria. You should be looking at ways of dealing with corruption. Corruption is a big issue in Nigeria, and then you're dealing with, and they're always so proud to come out and put a press statement. And their handler, I don't know who's handling that EFCC account. The other day, they put Rufai, a fellow journalist in Arise, they put up a tweet saying, VDM was arrested because of several petitions that were written against him and is in custody of the EFCC. EFCC took that tweet and somebody else's tweet, they branded it fake news. Less than 12 hours later, they said the same thing they said it was fake news. This is a government agency. It should carry itself with dignity and respect and stop all these petty things. And what was that? That was, you could tell it was just some sort of personal vindictiveness to put out his face and the tweet and say fake news, and then less than 12 hours later you say the same thing. So how is it fake news? And you didn't apologize, and you haven't still deleted that previous post. And
what baffles me the most is that Nigeria has a dragon challenge, let me use that word, that is eating deep, fiery, burning our entire progress, and that is corruption. And that is your major job.
Exactly.
Yet we have cases of, I saw a video, somebody was shouting, where is White Lion? No statement, nothing has been made since then. No follow-up, no, you don't see it as a reason to keep Nigerians abreast with, oh, these are the things we're doing, and so on and so forth. There are cases of, theft, there are cases of people, taking money and so on and so forth, but you would see nothing from the EFCC. So I think now that we're wrapping up this show in the morning, and I'm sure that the EFCC would definitely be watching this, I think we need to really have a sit down and ask the EFCC, what truly is their job?
What are your primary
let's understand. Let's know, so that we don't waste our time. So if their job is to focus on weddings and spring, let's know.
Yeah.
Let's just know.
Because it seems
I'm thinking that there's an arm. Maybe there's
an
an arm in the EFCC that the people's responsibility is to be watching videos of celebrities when the post parties and looking, did they spray money? Is it naira? Is it dollar? What I knew was that the spraying of the naira, what we knew was the spraying of the naira. I think the spraying of the dollar came as a surprise. I don't know if there's any actual legislation, and I'm free to correct me, please. I feel free to correct us. But what we know is about the naira. We do not know about the dollar. Spraying money is part of our culture here in Nigeria. It's our way of showing celebration, solidarity. It's our way of standing with the celebrants and gifting. So there are a number of people who have been able to pay off their debts from weddings because of the money that was sprayed. There are people who have put together their weddings but haven't finished paying all the vendors.
Even the person that wrote that statement in the EFCC, I'm sure they sprayed him in his wedding, him or her.
So they're waiting to collect the money that they're being sprayed to then offset certain things. Some people start their life, their honeymoon with the gifts from the spraying. So taking that away is taking a significant part of our celebration. However, maybe now it's time to redefine how we do that celebration. So I would suggest to event planners and to couples and celebrants to then print their own party currency. So if I'm having, well, we have to try. We have to figure out around it. Print out your own party currency. If I'm getting married, for example, and I put my wedding currency, and people are buying it. You come, you buy 100,000 naira worth.
Money that's still trying to recoup money from your wedding. You now use that money to go and print currency, please.
I know.
We're already paying extra tariff for life.
I think the best thing is, we're going to respect the laws of the land, regardless. We're not saying that we're not going to respect it.
That's why I'm looking for the alternative.
I think the lawyers need to
the best alternative I've seen, having been part of weddings, is just have a box.
Exactly.
And I did a wedding last 2 months. No, I did last 2 months.
The one I'm giving to the Lord,
I just announced as the MC that please, the couple also said, please announce there'll be no spraying of cars. Just come to the box. While they were dancing, the box is moving.
So now
it's moving. So people just drop it in the box, and then while they're dancing, while we're talking about dancing, let's dance to the
I've not sprayed olive. They want to ban it.
Me that I'm not married, they want to ban it before I marry.
Top story
How will
for
I
today.
make my own?
Anyway, we won't allow cameras in your wedding. We'll spray.
We'll not do it.
I'm not there. I do not mind now.
Highway, we have that conversation. PDP reacts to cross-carpeting. NANS 1 billion counter lawsuit. We'll talk about that. The PDP is finally speaking up. And don't forget it too. FEC approves President Bola Tinubu's plan to put Nigeria first. Great story though. Senate resumes the Rivers crisis, tax reform, security, top proceedings. We'll have this conversation too. And don't forget into the front pages of the newspapers. Do stay with us. The show starts in a moment.
There was a disturbing scene earlier in the week as we saw students protest that brought the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to a standstill. And this protest was led by the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. The protest was over alleged mismanagement of education funds, particularly the controversial student loan scheme. Massive disruptions, allegations of corruption, and calls for urgent government intervention was what this process witnessed. It was a necessary action for them, but others would argue against that. But this morning, to dissect it and break it down, we're having joining us for this discussion the former Senate President for the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, Akinteye Afeez. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Before we come to the protest itself, let's talk about the grouse of NANS. What exactly is NANS advocating for or against? What is the complaint that NANS is putting forward?
The complaint, good morning, thank you very much. The complaint NANS put forward about the protest that happened is that they want the government to investigate and see where the mismanagement of the net fund loan, where exactly it's from. Because there have been a series of allegations, even from students, about this loan. And sincerely, when you look into towards and inwardly towards it, the problems are not even from net fund that is disbursing the loan. Most of the complaints, most of the problems are from the institutions that are getting the loans. So we want government, there have been allegations between a rapport between the banks disbursing the loan and the institutions that are getting the loan. So we want the government to investigate and know what exactly is happening, what the problem is, where the mismanagement is on the loan.
All right, and then because you're asking for the mismanagement to be investigated, the protest had then happened. Talk to us about why you thought the protest was necessary, or if there was any other alternative means that you feel this message could have been passed across.
The process became necessary because you see this net fund loan, it is one policy that we see as one government policy that needs to be protected. And if we allow mismanagement, if we allow corruption to dig deep into this loan, it is definitely going to be another government policy that will just go down the drain. So the speech has been made, different types of complaint has been made, then the student felt, okay, the government will listen to them more better if they go on the street to protest and to show their grievances. So it is the student coming out to protect the net fund policy, the net fund loan. That is why the protest became very necessary.
You said the protests were necessary, but I mean, some thought the steps the students took was quite excessive by blocking and shutting down a major expressway like the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway as a way to demand action. Don't you think the students went too far by doing that? And since they've done it, has there been any response from the government or the authorities?
And since the protest, I don't think the student went too far because the road was not blocked all day. It was just blocked for some time, just to pass the message across to the necessary quarters. And since the protest was done, there were reaction from the ministry. The minister has reached out to the leadership of NANS that there is going to be a meeting between the Ministry of Education and the Vice Chancellor. I think the meeting was supposed to end, but it was later postponed. So the ministry has reached out to the student leader, they should be calm, and that investigation will truly be done to see the institutions that are causing problem for this one. The institutions that really are doing corruption, because there are some institutions that the amounts the students are paying are different from the amounts they put on net fund platform. So the amounts they are getting is higher than the amounts the students are supposed to pay as school fee. So many complaints like that is going on with those that the institutions are doing. So that is where the problems are.
All right. I mean, you've talked about the problems. Students are trying to protect the funds that have been released to them. But can you also share with us, many have said that while the students are busy, protesting about the funds, even the NANS in-house seems to have its own challenge with, leadership. So how is it that a body that's having a challenge with its own leadership is now trying to come together to, fight and protest for funds that have been allocated to them? Can you also touch on that, the internal crisis with NANS, which invariably may impact on who is leading these protests? And I want to ask, who was at the forefront of this protest? Because we seem to have two embattled NANS presidents. So who was the one that was championing this protest? Which of them?
First of all, I think it was just the media giving attention to someone who never participated in the process of election of NANS. The leadership of NANS is clear, and the current president of NANS is Olusola Oladoja, who won his election on the 27th of March as the old parade ground in Abuja. And that election was said to have been the most peaceful election in the history of this organization. So somebody cannot just wake up tomorrow and say it is president of NANS and the minister start giving them attention. So just like you said, the protest was led by the vice president intercampus. He led that protest after they are getting approval from the president of NANS. So the vice president of campus is an executive under Olusola Oladoja leadership of NANS. So there is no other vice president in the campus. The structure of NANS is clear, from the JCC to the zonal structure to the national structure. We have 6 zonal coordinators, and the 6 of them have came out to say Olusola Oladoja is the president of NANS. The JCC chairman have come out to say Olusola. So even if there is crisis in NANS, even when though we know there is none, if there is crisis in NANS, anytime there are issues to fight, when there are issues to affect the students to protest, you see all structure of the organization come together to fight it. So there is no time the crisis of NANS affects the interest or welfareism of the students when it is time to come out to fight or protect the interest of the students. So what you have just seen is, even if there are rumors of crisis, which we know there is no crisis, it's just the normal thing that used to happen sometimes in the organization. And the person that has came out to call himself the president has been disowned by the organization.
So who exactly, I mean, if you say that Ladoja is your president, who exactly is Comrade Atiku Abubakar Issa?
Atiku Abubakar Issa is somebody that Showore and Sahara reporters declared president of NANS 3 days after the NANS election. He never had history of participating in this organization. He claimed to be an 100-level student of Abu University in Kogi State. And with the constraint of NANS, 100-level students cannot be president. Even with what he has done, he has put himself in problem.
When you say problem?
You cannot be president as a 100-level student. So he just came, we just saw the news about 3 days after the election, celebrating the victory of Oladoja, that Sahara reporters are now someone else as president. And it has always been like that for the past 4 or 5 years. Anytime we have our election, 3 days, 4 days after, Sahara reporters will announce another person as president. But with time, the person will just go down the drain because he does not have the structure of the organization. Just like this became very necessary. This person has been doing this for the past how many weeks, but he became the talk of the town when he started bringing different personalities, different names to blackmail them to get attention. If you follow the structure of NANS, everybody in NANS, go and meet anybody, nobody will tell you this person is the president. So Olusola Oladoja is the president of NANS.
Okay, so if you say that this Comrade Issa was appointed or announced by Sahara reporters, and you say that it's something that has happened over and over again, talk us through the previous episodes.
Okay, let me just tell you. Just like the election that brought me in as Senate President of NANS, let me start from Dele Nasarawa. The president we had, Dele Nasarawa, we had him as president. He was being president, and about 3 weeks later, Sahara reporters announced one Obande Gideon as president of NANS. He took the capacity of the president, legitimate president, to do what? To use the internal mechanism of the organization to resolve that crisis and end that fashion. Later, we had Ashefon as president. Ashefon had the president, and for like about 3 months later, Dele Nasarawa went to announce another guy, one Alutaje from Osun. The Sahara reporters announced another one Alutaje from Osun as president of NANS. He also took mechanism of the organization to resolve that issue. Administration, where I was Senate President, We did our election openly, covered fully, live coverage by NTA at the old parade ground. Only for us to see about 3 days later, Sahara reporters again announced another person. It took a lot of involvement of the Senate, of the leadership of NANS to resolve that crisis. And this time around, every structure of the organization came together. We had an election supervised by the security, supervised by DSS, police, observers, different student groups. NANS diaspora came. People came outside the country to observe the election, student leaders, all across the country. And the election was done peacefully. For the first time, we were commended by the security operatives that NANS did an election in Abuja, and not even the shot was fired, because we are repositioning the organization. Only for us to see 3 days later that Sahara reporters announced another person. There was no election. Nothing was done. It was not seen, and it has always been like that.
My question to you now is,
so that is it.
Of what interest is Sahara reporters and who emerges at NANS President, and what do you think is the motivation behind this? Because
that is the question we need to ask
quite a number of times.
That is the question we need to ask Sahara reporters and the owners. If you even look at his page, every time, every opportunity he has, he talks down about the organization. NANS is dead, if NANS is dead, NANS is no good, then ignore the organization, leave it alone. NANS has never come to you to patronize you. So why do you have to keep talking or trying to bring down the organization always, every time? On the day of the inauguration of Oladoja, when he read his speech, every well-meaning person should see the speech and see clearly the intentions of this man. Sahara reporters in 6 hours released about 9 links talking down the speech of the president. We don't know what their interest is, bringing down the organization. But NANS is an organization that is too strong and that is too big for any media or anybody to bring down.
All right.
We don't know what their interest is. We just know that the organization has a structure, and the organization NANS cannot be brought down because it is the student organization. The student owns the organization, and they know when to fight. Okay, for instance, now look at the protests that were held in Lagos to defend the net fund issue. The students know what the problem is. Students are really benefiting from net fund. They are benefiting from net fund, and if the loans were allowed to die like that, or to be another policy that is what now they're doing, it is going to affect the student too. So we don't care what Sahara reporters or the owner or anybody using them are saying. We don't care what anybody wants to do. The organization as is structured, the leadership is clear, and there is no controversy on the leadership of NANS.
All right. Do you think, I mean, in your capacity, do you think that NANS is being heavily politicized? Do you think it's being, used for politics in today's politics? Let's put it that way. Do you think it is being used as a major driver, as a major force? Because you seem to have over about, is it 40 million or less of students within your purview and your control in terms of, management. Do you think, one way or the other, there's a struggle for the body to be heavily politicized?
You see, let me tell you, even organizations that are not up to, that does not have membership like NANS, you will see politicians running around to at least get them to their side, to speak in their favor, but the politicians are trying to make NANS speak in their favor, or to be with them, or to politicize the organization. It's not something that you will not see politicians trying to do. Both opposition leaders, do you know what opposition leader can achieve if the leadership of NANS is aligned with them? The leadership of NANS has structure all over the state. It only take the president of NANS to say, okay, please, just chairman, we want to shut down, we have a protest today, shut down the major road that is in your area. All the chairmen should come and shut down the major road. The country is down. So politicians might not want to allow that, and some might want to use such power to their gain. So they will try and approach the leadership, try to bring it closer. It depends on the leadership of the organization to know what they want and to set their goals and to make sure that the reason why they are in that position is to protect the interest of the students. I was NANS Senate president, and I went to 37 states to orientate students on net fund loan. 37 states in this country, both to Borno, to Lagos, everywhere. So the leadership has to be clear on what they want, the interest they are protecting, above any political patronage.
So on whose political backing can we say NANS is on now, or it's not on any?
No, NANS is not on any political backing. NANS for now is for the students.
For now?
If NANS is on any political backing, you won't even see such a protest that happened in Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. There are many protests. Yesterday, the NANS Senate President, still attacked the Minister for Power that there should not be any further increments on tariffs. So NANS is quick when they see anything that is affecting their interests. There is no political backing. We are just an organization that are pressure group, and that is what NANS is to.
All right, Olushola Ladoja, the person who you have said is the duly elected president of NANS, was on another station. He had an interview with on Channels TV, I believe, and he talked about the accusations that Comrade Issa had made against the son of the president, Sheyi Tinubu, and part of what he was quoted to have said was that it's literally the first son. I don't know if that's not really a title, but that Sheyi Tinubu is the one who has brought himself down to be relating with NANS, with students, and this is the first time that they're seeing the son of a president who wants to associate with students. And that did come with a lot of criticism. He said that, he had portrayed NANS in a way like, not in the most positive light. So I want you to react to that statement of, saying that the son of the president brought himself down to interact with NANS.
You see, the statement was taken out of proportion, and that's the fact. What he was trying to explain there is that Sheyi Tinubu, being the president's son, make himself available for different structures of youth organization. It is not just NAS. We have NYCN, we have NYC, we have different youth organizations. We have Arewa Youth, we have the Afenifere Youth. Many of these youth organizations, if they have issues.
Hello, are we still connected?
He made himself available to be seen, to listen to the youth. He moved around with the youth. If you should see during the iftar, he was having iftar with the youth groups. So what he was trying to say is that Sheyi Tinubu is a free person, for different from what we have been seeing before now. There are many presidents' sons that we don't even know their name, that we don't see. So it's not as if maybe he brings himself so low. I think that statement was taken out of proportion.
Or maybe he did not communicate his intent properly, because he did say that he's the one bringing himself so low to associate himself with the students.
Possibly.
Yeah, but then I also wanted to follow up, because you had said Comrade Issa is not NANS president, especially because he allegedly said he was a 100-level student. What is the criteria for becoming a NANS president?
Before you become a NANS president, you must have been in the institution and you must have CGPA. And before you can have CGPA, 100-level students don't have CGPA. You must have been in your second year institution. And if you want to contest with postgraduate by a master's student or a PhD student, you must have evidence of your first degree results. That is what the Constitution says. And the reason why this thing is possible is because we have noticed that time intervals, some people will just rush to the institution and get admission because they want to contest in us. Just like what you are seeing. So instead of that to be possible, you cannot just rush to the school, get admission, and come out to contest in the organization. You must have been a student with CGPA, verifiable CGPA. The last election that was held, all the schools were written to. All the schools replied. Those that does not meet the criteria was screened out. Now you cannot see any executive of NAS, any that is not a student.
All right, can you confirm to us that, let me see if we can put that video up again of Mr. Atiku, who happens to be the factional, he claims to be a factional head of NANS. I'm sure you've seen his video right there on the screen. Can you confirm to us that the man we see there is in 100 level?
To you, that is a 100 level student in Prince Abubakar University in Kogi State. The management of the institution has written to the leadership of NAS to confirm that he is an 100 level student. Not even 100 level, first semester. He has not had one semester results. That is the statement of the institution, because we have to investigate that where is this man coming from? And if he has taken place in the process, he has partaken in the process of the election, we will have told him he's not qualified to contest. But he did not take part in the process at all. So it was when we started seeing all these things, we have to write to the school that no, this organization cannot be destroyed like this.
But beyond the credibility of his position as president or not, there were some strong claims that were made. What do you say to the allegations that he made?
You see, the allegation that he made is the blatant lie. The trip he said to Lagos that he was to be offered 100 million. I was the one that booked his flight to Lagos. Because we were supposed to have.
Before you move on, let's just come in here. So, what's your association with him? You said he's an illegitimate president, and at the same time, you're saying you booked his flight to Lagos. In what capacity?
Let me just go straight to that. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
There was supposed to be an iftar program in Lagos, which different youth groups and student groups were invited. So we were invited, and before now, he has been making claims to be the NANS president. And you see this organization, when things like that happen, the current leader, the legitimate leader, do reach out to those that are saying that, what is the problem? Why are you doing this? You never contested. Let us stop all this nonsense. It has always happened when they resolve issues we're discussing. So the president also reached out to him. There have been discussion between them. They have been discussing on how to resolve the issue. So when the invitation came for the iftar, we know him as an imam in Abuja, Gariki Mosque. You can go there and verify. So he reached out to the president. He said there will be an iftar program in Lagos by Tinubu, that he wished to come there. That they said many of the iftar program that has been done across the country, that young imam have given opportunity to speak. That if NANS can crave way for him to also speak as an imam in the program, at least that shows he is back to the body, he is afraid that no more crisis in the organization. The president was even optimistic about allowing that to happen. I was like, see, many problems we have had in the time past, just like the last administration, those that declare fashion, many of them came back to us that, okay, let's stop many of these issues of fashion. And we had a meeting with them, we discussed, we stop it without crisis. So he also came and we are like, if this is the way to bring the issue he's making claim to President to an end, instead of fighting, bring him. I was the one that booked his ticket to Lagos because the president was like, he does not have money to do that. I was the one that lodged him. We went to the program together. The video, the Snapchat we did at the program was there, and we came back together. There was no time even met Sheikh Tinubu or the minister or anybody has made claim to meet. And he returned back to Abuja. Though at the program, it was unfortunate he was unable to speak because there was no time. So that might have led to his frustration that no, he came to Lagos, he was unable to speak or meet. So there was no time. I made bold to say this statement. There was no time he met with Sheikh Tinubu or he met with the Minister for Youth at the iftar program in Lagos. No time.
All right.
So the reason why we allowed him to be in Lagos with us was because we felt he said he wants to join us to stop the wrong allegation he is making claim to as the president of NANS. And it's the normal way, our consolidation, it is normal we consult and consolidate with people that are trying to do this solve the problem in the organization.
Hoping that you can help us, we'd like to have a broader conversation with the NANS president. If you can help us, so we can speak with Comrade Ladoja and also speak with Comrade Atiku Issa, so we can get a clearer picture as to what exactly is going on with NANS. But just to come back as we wrap up the conversation, to NEL Fund, you had talked about allegations of fraud, allegations of, misappropriation of funds. How did you confirm these allegations, and what is the next step for NANS?
No, definitely what I know about the issue of allegation is that most of these allegations are not directed at Net Fund. You understand? Net Fund puts their policy out, brings students to apply, tell us how much they are paying, and when you tell us Net Fund are paying, most of these allegations has to do with the institutions, because I once had issues with one institution that this Net Fund are paying them above what the students are paying. The institution is in Kaduna State. I don't want to mention them on there like this. So most of this problem are with the institutions. There are some that the Net Fund will have paid them and they will not even tell their students. until maybe some weeks or months later before they now announce to the student that, okay, we have gotten your payment, your money. Some will even allow students to pay before NETFund to pay. And after NETFund has paid, they are not refunding the student back their money. So there are many problems that are with the institution that the government needs to take serious. Make some vice chancellors examples, make some provost or some rector example. Let them pay an answer to the crimes that are going on on NETFund in their institution. So that is just the problem. If the institution can be real and be serious about this NETFund issue, this is a policy that is put in place to help solve the crisis of students going out of school because of school fee. So how can you be putting fraud? How can you be including corruption in the loan?
All right.
The intention of the president is clear. Students are even getting upkeep. Why are we not having problem about the upkeep students are getting, but we're having problem about the money the institution are getting?
Well, former President, National Association of Nigerian Students, Mr. Akinteye Afeez, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to speak with you, possibly later on, and we hope that the NETFund issue would be sorted out. But thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
All right. Let's tell you what's coming up next here on News Central's Breakfast Central. Coming up next, PDP reacts to cross-carpeting NAS 1 billion naira, talk about the counter lawsuit, and Senate resumes Rivers crisis, tax reform, and we'll talk about President Tinubu submits FCT budget to lawmakers and much more. Welcome back. Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, Information, along with 21 lawmakers on Monday, formally defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress. Information defected, citing unresolved divisions within the party, that's the PDP South-South Zonal Executive, and the worsening crisis at the party's national level. Take a look.
Barrister Victor Owokolo. The subject matter of his announcement is resignation of my membership from the People's Democratic Party. And the message reads as follows. This is to formally notify you of my resignation from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress APC. My resignation is as a result of the unresolved disputes at the national headquarters as well as the South-South zone of the party. This takes immediate effect on Wednesday, 30th April 2025. Please accept the assurances of my sincere regards. Signed, Right Honorable Barrister Victor.
Recall that the governor of Delta State, Governor Sheriff Oborewori, and the former governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, left the People's Democratic Party 2 weeks ago to join the All Progressives Congress. Meanwhile, the PDP has already announced plans to challenge its defection and the defecting lawmakers in court. To discuss the defection tornado in the People's Democratic Party, we are joined by the chairman, PDP South-South Caretaker Committee, Emmanuel Ogidi. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning. All right. A good way to, I think we'll begin by first asking how you feel about the defections. Do you consider it a betrayal, or do you just think the game is the game? Okay, we're trying to sort out the audio issues, but whilst we're doing that, we of course do have the chairman, PDP South-South Caretaker Committee, Emmanuel Ogidi, and the conversations we'll be exploring will be exactly how the People's Democratic Party feels about the defection that has happened, if they expected it, if it was foreseen, and if it could have been avoided. And now that the defections have happened, how exactly, first of all, does the PDP feel about it? Is it considering this a betrayal, especially because at the end of the day, it is still politics? And what the hopes of the PDP are in still building a formidable structure or maintaining a formidable structure in South-South where, it of course did have a lot of influence, particularly in Delta State, where PDP has been the leading party for years now. So what exactly does this mean for the People's Democratic Party? Some have argued that the PDP has lost its structure. In describing reasons why they left the party, what we did see, some said that it was because they had tried over and over again to fix the internal struggles within the People's Democratic Party, but that, you know, it could not be sorted. But now, joining us again, this time we're joined by the chairman, PDP South-South Caretaker Committee, Emmanuel Ogidi. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us. First of all, we'll start by asking how you felt or how you feel about the defection. Do you consider this a betrayal on the part of the governor, the former governor, and all the other PDP members who have moved, or do you think that it's really just politics and, like they say, the game is the game?
I'm pained, but you know, it's politics. You know, consider the fact that PDP developed Delta State in the last 26 years. So how would you think I'll feel? People you have been associated with for the last 26 years and going away to another party, giving all our credit. All the development stride, achievement we have had in Delta State for the last several years was done by PDP government. So I'm not happy. I hope you're with me.
Yes, we are. We got your statement there. You said that you're not happy. But what would you term this as? Would you term it as a political strategy to see the entire Delta State become an APC state? Or would you say it is complete betrayal on the trust of loyalists to the PDP?
Like I said, everything we do these days is politics. And it will be determined in 2027 when the voters will show their merit. Because the voters that determine what happens in any political party. We may say what we want to say. The voters have their right to determine who rules them. So as a PDP man, I will do my best to ensure that the voters return us to the government house.
You earlier alluded to the fact that Delta State, and we all know this, has been a foundational PDP state since 1999. That makes it 26 years. And what happened in the course of the last 2 weeks is unprecedented. Just on Monday, 21 members of the Delta State House of Assembly switched allegiance to the ruling APC. And there's more to come from that defection tornado. It's said that local government chairmen and councillors, who are over 300 in numbers, will be moving to the APC from the PDP. We've seen all of what has happened. Can we say that the PDP in Delta is effectively dead? And is there any coming back? Is there any structure left in the Delta State PDP, looking at its importance and the value it has in the South-South?
You know, in politics, you are free to go out, come in, free to go out, come in. So I know some will definitely come back. Because PDP is a brand in Delta. It's in our DNA. I'm hoping and praying that they'll come back.
And all the political appointees have left to the APC. So who will do the groundwork to make it a viable party that it used to be for 26 years?
That's what I'm saying. It has been viable, it's still viable, and I believe we're going to make it again in 2027.
So this belief, is this just hope or power of positive affirmation, or is there a plan in place? They will say that hope is not a strategy. Does the PDP have a plan or have a plan to make a comeback? And if yes, what does this plan look like? What would that structure look like for the People's Democratic Party in Delta State?
do have a plan, but I'm not going to say it on the TV. We have a plan, and we have set the plan in motion.
There are also rumors that the political party loyalists for the PDP, which includes yourself, have also been invited to join the APC. Are you going to make that move soon? And are you going to make any announcements that you'll be moving to the APC?
Me, myself, I said that the PDP runs in my vein. I have no such plans.
But the others said the same. I mean, Governor Sheriff Oborowori and his SA had been going around town saying that they would never move to the APC. But all of a sudden, they used the analogy of a car and the brain box damage. So how certain are you that in due course, you wouldn't just make that switch? After all, like you said in your first statement to us, answering the question that people who leave political parties always come back. So wouldn't you want to just, accept the calling?
Like I told you, I'm no longer a young man. I'm also aging gracefully. When it gets to that, I think I'll just sit at home.
Now, looking at the PDP at the national level, and the crisis we're seeing is not just in Delta State and the South-South. The PDP at the national level is also having a lot of issues. Are you in communication with the National Executive Committee in Abuja, and what is the PDP doing to put its house in order in order to formidably challenge the ruling APC as we inch towards the 2027 elections? Are there moves that are being made to, resolve some of this internal crisis, which the lawmakers and some of the defectors are using as a valid excuse to decamp?
Well, I haven't used the word excuse. They use that excuse. There's no family without squabbles. And the ability to resolve it, that makes you a great family. And we are on the verge of resolving all our issues, because recall that we've been shifting our NEC meetings and several meetings. As a member of NWC, we have finished all the arrangement, and we are waiting for 27th of this month to have the NEC meeting. Then after we put a motion on that for the convention in August. So all these are measures we are putting on ground. But the human beings, they don't have patience. I have a lot of patience. See, when you're dealing with a human being, you must have patience. But not everybody will have that. That's why you can see this moving in and out. I don't believe in moving in and out. I believe in maintaining my integrity, and by the grace of God, that's what I'm doing.
So is it safe to say that the other people who have moved, they're not maintaining their integrity? And I want to also particularly bring in Charles Aniago, who was months or weeks before speaking so strongly in support of the governor, saying that the governor had no intention to move to another political party, and that people should stop making such insinuations. And he, in such strong words, condemned the potential of moving. And I mean, just 2 weeks ago, we see that he has officially moved, alongside with, he's supporting the move of the governor as well. So does it speak to the integrity of the people who were elected on one platform and have now moved to another platform?
No, what I'm not questioning any person's move. Like I said, the constitution of this country allows you to move in and out. You have to understand that. And then I also have my own ideology, which I'm following. That's why they didn't move. They have theirs. So I'm not going to judge them.
Now, you talked about the upcoming NEC meeting on the 27th of this month. What are some of the issues that will be on the table for discussion at the NEC meeting. You're also going to discuss the FCT minister who seems to be a clog in the wheels of progress of the People's Democratic Party. And also, with regards to the upcoming convention, would you be seeking to retain your position, or would you be looking for a more national position within the PDP fold?
No, what would take most of our attention is to address this issue of defections. We will need to ask ourselves, why are they defecting? If we are the cause, let us do this, let us do that. But so far, we have not given cause for this defection. But members have right to associate and disassociate. That is their fundamental rights protected by the law, by the Constitution. And then I know we're going to talk about discipline, because anybody without discipline will not be a body. Then, of course, if you remember the Supreme Court ruling, where the parties have not been asked to resolve all their issues, of course, that will come on the table again. We need to resolve it. In those days, we hardly go to court. All of a sudden, court became the fashion. Many of us were not comfortable. We need to talk to ourselves and then ensure that all our safeguards are maintained, and then we're good to go. Because now it's a serious business. Because from next year we'll start politicking, and we'll have to get it right. So it's going to be a serious NEC meeting, and then after we're going to go for the convention.
Right. Let's look at His Excellency, the former Vice President of Nigeria, who also was your 2023 presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Many political party members, especially those in the PDP, one way or the other, have spoken against him contesting, taking the ticket to be the president for 2023, which they feel affected the PDP's chances to be, the winning party. What do you think? Do you think that he should still go for 2027? What are your thoughts on that? Or do you think that it should this time be given to someone else? The mantle should be given to someone else?
Let's look at it this way. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is the leader of the party by our convention, because he was our last presidential candidate. Now, he's still a member of the party. Nobody's above the party. It was the party decision then to throw open the presidential race. So we're not going for another convention. Is it going to be the same way? So whatever way will come out, don't forget that this is our NEC meeting. We're proactive. The governors sent us their recommendation, which we discussed at NWC, which we are going to take to the NEC. We have the zoning committee, and we have the convention committee. When we inaugurate these two committees, the feedback will be brought, and then we take a position. So, for now, it's still too early to discuss that.
I think my final question would be to ask what your thoughts are about the likelihood again, or the importance of a coalition. Do you think that it's important? Because what we've seen is, even within the People's Democratic Party, there doesn't seem to be a uniform stance on whether or not there should be a coalition. So, are you pro or against the coalition?
When we have our NEC meeting and we decide on it, it is incumbent on all of us to go by our decision. Until then, I don't have any personal views.
All right. Let me just ask this as well. Ahead of the NEC meeting, would the consideration of having Mr. Peter Gregory be back to the PDP as a foremost, member of the party before, and would there be consideration to have him this time take the mantle on?
it's a free association. You can go out, you can come in, but you can also strategize. If you come say, why not? But you have to go through the process. I can assure you. We must go through the process of convention.
Emmanuel Ogidi, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, go ahead. You were saying.
Okay, sorry, please go ahead.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
We of course look forward to having the feedback from the NEC meeting and what the deliberations by the PDP and what the united stance will be. Like you said, you don't have a personal opinion in that regard, but want to see what the final outcome is. Thank you for your time. All right. Moving on from the conversations about the PDP, we will now head to other conversations. Following the resumption of plenary at the National Assembly, what we did see, of course, is that the Nigerian Senate has constituted an ad hoc committee to oversee the administration of emergency rule in Rivers State. The decision follows mounting concerns over governance under the state's sole administrator and mirrors a similar initiative by the House of Representatives aimed at putting in place adequate checks and balance. News Central's National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, brings you details of this and other key issues discussed during plenary.
Lawmakers returned to plenary after over a month-long recess to mark the Eid al-Fitr and Easter holidays, observed after weeks of Lent and Ramadan fasting by both faiths. As business resumed, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced the constitution of an ad hoc committee to provide oversight on the Rivers State sole administrator in line with constitutional provisions and the rule of law. The committee, to be chaired by Senate Leader Okpeyemi Bamidele, draws its membership from across party lines.
There is need for us to have a committee, just like the House of Representatives has done. So the chairman of that committee will be Sir Distinguished Senator Michael Okpeyemi Bamidele, the Senate leader, and the deputy chairman will be Distinguished Senator Rufai Hanga, Deputy Minority Whip.
Meanwhile, the Senate passed a motion calling for the organization of a national security summit following concerns over worsening insecurity across the country. The motion, moved by lawmaker Jimoh Ibrahim representing Ondo South and co-sponsored by 3 others, seeks to convene stakeholders across all tiers of government and traditional institutions to develop practical security solutions. However, the motion sparked mixed reactions on the floor of the Senate.
To address the challenges highlighted above, it is imperative that empirical fact-finding mission, National Assembly Security Summit, is organized by these Senates to assist in providing requisite platform for enhancing and exhausting this far-reaching deliberation as a way forward.
Do we want to really be true to ourselves? And do we really want to be true to our calling here as senators? And the reason why I ask that is very simple. For each session I've been here, we have had security summits. Each session. In fact, the last one, we were part of setting it up and then we did everything. At the end of the day, nothing came out of it. That we have provided solutions in the past and they have not worked or they have not been implemented will not stop us from providing solutions. There is nothing that stops us from continuing to explore all means of bringing this insecurity to a halt.
They'll take over your land, occupy your compound. They're no longer destroying schools, no longer destroying markets. They are living inside those facilities. So this security summit is very essential.
The Senate is also set to commence close-by-close consideration of the report of its Committee on Finance regarding the proposed tax reform bills. This follows the formal presentation of the committee's report by its chairman, Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District.
I want the chairman of finance to ensure that every senator has copies. Please take back your copies and go and study them tonight, and then we will now go into clause-by-clause constitutions on the next sitting.
Just before the day's plenary ended, the Senate announced a reshuffling of the leadership of some of its standing committees. The reshuffle is to take immediate effect following the announcement during plenary. In Abuja for News Central, Sagir Ibrahim.
Very interesting report there by Sergey Ibrahim. I mean, breaking down the Senate on resumption, the things that they've talked about, tax reforms was put in place as well. A good conversation to also start with. And like the fact that a security summit as well was equally looked into. But many have also highlighted the fact that there was also a committee that was set up to look into the role of the sole administrator in Rivers State, of course, headed by distinguished Senator Koyemi Bamidele. But of more concern is the fact that this committee, now that it has been set up, needs to be able to possibly re-invite the sole administrator again. Don't forget he was invited
to explain.
Yes, just few days ago.
Last week. Yes.
Yes, in that invitation, we were expecting that there would have been some form of communication to the people of Rivers State, but we still need to know if the Senate owes us a duty, Nigerians or the people of Rivers State, to explain to them that, okay, fine, in our meeting, the communique, this is what it came out with.
Oh, yes. Instead of it to be shrouded in secrecy. But to start on a light note, I mean, when I grew up, I want to be a senator, because look at when they are resuming from Salah and Easter break. I even forgot that we had
Salah break.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
Regular folks
And they're just resuming.
and they're just resuming. But I also want to highlight something before I come to Rivers State, is Senator Jimo Ibrahim did mention that the Senate should constitute a fact-finding mission that will empirically verify and go to those conflict zones and see what is really happening on the ground, rather than. But there's a Senate Committee on Defense, but I believe he wants a more encompassing unit to go and see what's happening in terms of security, and I think that's a good move. And like you rightly said, the sole administrator has been given a mandate by the president. He's been given a job, an assignment. Let me use that word. It's correct and it's better suited for the situation, for the assignment in Rivers State to, okay, do this and show this peace, and after 6 months we'll review. But how do you meet? I mean, he was at the Council of State meeting.
Yes, he was.
With governors and Mr. President. He also met with members of the National Assembly. You owe the people of Rivers State some sort of duty of carrying them along. Let them know, even if it's a 10-point agenda and you don't go into the details. We discussed A, B, C, and D, but it didn't happen. Hopefully in the future they'll do something about it.
Well, let's hope that if the senator who has been, put to chair the new committee would be able to get to an order, have been plagued with Borno State as well. They have been plagued with a lot of insecurity. They went there, they took a look at what really happened, and then they came back. But my point is, and I get your point too, if you have visitations from these persons, these personalities, or these officials who represent, Nigerians, is it not enough for them to have come up with their own communique and then push it to those in charge of security forces? You already have on the spot assessment,
instead of wasting taxpayers' money funding travel here and there, and what exactly would that traveling do? I get your point.
Yeah.
That people that have gone there, there's a Senate committee.
Yeah, there's a Senate committee on that.
So pass through your recommendations to the appropriate authorities.
Like you said,
we need to see urgency.
Yeah, beyond the talking and the committees, we want to see action. And I'm sure that our correspondent will be joining us shortly to give us update. But Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has submitted the 2025 Federal Capital Territory Budget proposal to the House of Representatives. The President's letter, read by the Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, as lawmakers resumed plenary after a month-long recess, proposed an estimated 1.78 trillion naira for the federal capital. And now to talk more about the activities going on with the National Assembly, we have correspondent Sagir Ibrahim, who will be joining us shortly to explain what the feedback is and what the situation, the mood has been since resumption from recess. Well, let's take a look at this video.
A total expenditure of 1,783,823,708,392 naira is proposed for the year 2025. As such, 85% of the capital expenditure is dedicated to the completion of ongoing projects, while 15% is for new capital projects, so as to sustain ongoing efforts at providing basic infrastructure and social amenities in the FCT.
We'll talk more about the National Assembly when we connect with Sagir Ibrahim, but for now, let's go on a very quick break. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're now joined by our National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, who brings us all the details on what the legislators have been up to lately. Good morning, Sagir Ibrahim. You're welcome back on the show this morning, and it's good to see you. It's been a while. What has been happening with the National Assembly? We hear that they are back from their month-long recess. What are the conversations that you've experienced in the course of their return?
Good morning, Odin. Good morning to everyone in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. You're looking great, I must say. But then the National Assembly,
thank you very much.
It's been a while, yes, indeed, but owing to the fact that the National Assembly has been on recess, you'll recall that they had to combine both the Eid al-Fitr, that's the Salah celebration, and also the Easter celebration, following a long, of course, period of Lent and also Ramadan fast. Well, back to it. Plenary resumed on Tuesday, yesterday. Issues that were on the front burner of the National Assembly of the Senate continue to remain, the same issues. It's security, the tax reform. So first of all, for security, of course, the news making the rounds that the Senate is planning on convening a national security summit. Now, of course, this was met with mixed reactions from the lawmakers. That some of them feel that it might be the regular, organize an event, invite individuals to come sit, talk, discuss the matters, and then no, actionable work is actually put in to ensure that all of these issues, are addressed permanently. So the likes of Senator Inoya Baribe, representing Abia South, is of the opinion that, look, we've done this time and time again. Maybe we can do something else, but a national security summit at this point is not looking like the solution to the problems. And it's understandable because owing to the fact that this is Nigeria, of course, this is not the first time we've seen security summits either being held by whether the National Assembly or state governors. We've seen state governors from, for example, the Northeast region organize security summit. We've seen state governors from the Northwest come together to organize security summit with the intention of addressing a lot of these security issues. Now, of course, the major challenge with the issues is the dynamics and the fact that it is really changing. It's not the way it used to be before, because right now these non-state actors have started adopting strategies and including or inculcating the use of technology when carrying out some of their activities. This is not the first time we started having conversation about these bandits, kidnappers, or whomever it may seem, going on social media to post either their loot or to post all kinds of videos to show that they are where they are, and then nothing seems to be done about tracking their locations, and getting them arrested or made to face the law. So these are some of the issues. But the question is whether a national security summit will address these issues as the case may be. Then on the other hand, we have the likes of Senator Titus Zam, who is from Benue State. Recently, we did a special report on the spate of attacks by suspected armed men in the state who have continued to wreak havoc on communities. And right now, at the moment, a lot of these communities, which are mostly agrarian, cannot access their farmlands, cultivate and plant. Now, on the larger extent, we know the impact that this can have, on the country's food production capacity. Considering the fact that Benue State is the food basket of the nation, it's really a sad irony to see that all of these things are happening there. And by the way, something I forgot to add in that report is the fact that on our way out, we actually, price yams and the other food items in the state, and it has increased exorbitantly, obviously because of the fact that these farmers have been ransacked, have fled their communities that have been ransacked previously and cannot, access their farmland. So this is another issue that the likes of Senator Titus Zam is talking about. Our communities have been eroded by non-state actors. If there is any means, including a national security summit, to bring the issues to the fore, talk about them and make sure that the right amount of, be it publicity or attention, is given to these areas, then by all means we should go ahead and do so. But aside that, of course, there's also other conversations like the tax reform bill. So you recall that the last step that the Senate had taken was getting the public hearing done, and that was sometime in March. We saw the National Assembly as a whole spend about 5 days inviting the entire public stakeholders in different parts of the society to come and, of course, add value to the conversation pertaining to the tax bill. This bill, they say, especially the federal government, is saying that it's going to revolutionize Nigeria's tax administration. But then there have been issues. Of course, we saw different parts of the country, different blocks of the society come out to condemn certain aspects of the bill, that may be alien to them or that may affect them in one way or the other. Of course, that there are also federal government agencies who have raised concerns about the bill and the powers that it gives to the National or Nigerian Revenue Service when it comes on board, usurping some of their own capacities and some of their own responsibilities. So today we expect that at the National Assembly, at the Senate precisely, we'll see them continue, with legislation on that bill. Public hearing is done. We are coming to the floor now for clause-by-clause consideration to be also done. Hopefully that will be done today, presented by the chairman of the Committee on Finance, and then hopefully we may see, the tax reform bill pass third reading today. So these are some of the developments coming from the Senate as the case may be, and of course, more should be coming in today.
Now, so Gibbs, when plenary resumed yesterday, the River State was one of the issues the senators discussed during plenary. Could you bring us up to speed with developments with regards to River State and the sole administrator?
So yesterday, indeed, it was the first issue, brought forward by the Senate President. It was an announcement stating that the Senate will now have to constitute its own ad hoc committee to oversight, the administration of River State by the sole administrator. You recall that sometime in April, we saw a breaking story that the ad hoc committee on River State oversight at the House of Representatives level had summoned the sole administrator of River State, to come before it or to appear before it. So that committee is supposed to also be replicated at the Senate as well. But for some reason, the Senate had not been able to do so before it went on recess. So of course, it was no surprise when, upon resumption on yesterday, the Senate President first started by putting and ensuring that the committee is set up. Of course, the committee has been set up, its chairmanship and vice chairmanship has been announced, but he also mentioned that the leadership of the committee for now is still subject to review, pending when more robust, consideration is put into it, and then it takes a better form. But then, by and large, the Senate now has its own committee on the oversight of River State. The House of Representatives also has had its own. Sometimes when they gave the go-ahead to the President, giving him the nod for revoking Section 305, you would recall that one of the recommendations that the Senate President, had made in that statement was setting up a joint committee of the House of Representatives and, of course, of the Senate to oversight the activities of the sole administrator. Because as the name implies, he's an administrator and he is the sole administrator of the state. So this implication means that he may not necessarily be working, with any kind of formed government or cabinet structure, as the case may be, except maybe via appointment or the likes of that. But he is the one taking the decisions, and the National Assembly wants to be sure that whatever decisions he is taking is going to be in the interest of Nigerians and going to be in the interest of bringing peace to River State. Because as you know, he has a 6-month tenure and he has an assignment to carry out in that 6 months. So this National Assembly wants to be sure that while this period is going on, he is doing the right things and ticking, of course, and blowing the right bells and whistles to ensure that peace is restored to the state and he doesn't carry out far-reaching, actions in the states. So there you have it with the National Assembly and the Senate with the formulation of a committee on the Rivers sole administratorship.
Beautifully, that's a good roundup. Thank you so much for taking us through what happened after the recess. But Let's leave the National Assembly now. Let's go on the streets. We did see you, and you were covering the, would we call it a mild protest, where VDM, a very dark man, yes,
Martin Ose,
exactly, was recently, is recently in the EFCC custody. And then you have a lot of persons on the streets coming out and, protesting. You were privileged to have been there as well to cover this. Can you break it down for us what the conversation was like then and where it is currently as we speak?
Well, I would say yes, there are individuals on the streets demonstrating and demanding the release of very dark man. But then, what is still a bit sketchy at this point is what the allegations are. I saw a report somewhere that the EFCC is saying it borders around financial crimes and also around cyberbullying or cyber stalking application. I do not know whether that statement is accurate or not. But the fact remains that these individuals are on the streets. They are demanding that very dark man is released. They describe and call him the voice of the voiceless and calling him a stable voice that has spoken about societal ill for the longest time. So they see all of these processes as just a deliberate attempt to stifle him or gag his voice, as the case may be. But then, of course, there are other voices, on the other side of the divide that asking questions as to whether this should be the focus of Nigerians at this moment. Yes, of course, very dark man, has been arrested. But is it something to raise so much fuss about? Of course, these are what they are saying, considering the fact that there are other issues, pressing national issues. We saw what the Minister of Power had posted about Nigerians bearing the full cost of electricity tariff. They feel this is something to protest about. We saw the response that the media aide of the president gave to the president of the Africa Development Bank regarding Nigeria's GDP. This is something to protest about. We are seeing other developments and other nuances, including what's going to be happening today in the National Assembly. The Senate consideration of the tax reform, bill, clause by clause consideration of the report by the Committee of Finance. Have the issues that were raised regarding bottlenecks or certain challenges and issues in that bill been addressed to the extent that Nigerians are sure that this bill will not impact their life in a negative light? I mean, a lot of people are already complaining about tax. So the question now on this other side of the divide is whether Nigerians should, pay so much attention to this arrest and this prosecution, so much that it leaves these other pressing national issues. But then again, of course, the fact remains the fact. Nigerians are angry, netizens are on the streets and are protesting, and they continue to clamor and call for his release.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think another angle would be the fact that two of them can coexist. What protest against what they have considered an abuse of human rights, and protest against the rising cost of living can coexist at the same time. But Saki Ibrahim, you've done a beautiful job this morning bringing us the analysis of what has happened behind the scenes at the National Assembly. We look forward to speaking with you as always. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sir. I'm also, you look handsome too. And thanks for the earlier compliment.
That was for me, Bingo.
That was for
Please don't hijack my time.
Who did you compliment? Let's clear the air on this now. Who was the compliment for initially? Oh, okay.
The compliment is for everyone in the studio, of course.
Thank you. God bless you both.
So everyone has a piece of the cake. Everyone has a piece of it.
Because it was causing a bit of problem behind the scenes. Thank you very much.
Joe, I hope you're happy now. Take your compliment to the bank.
All right, now let's hear what's still to come on Breakfast Central. Still to come on Breakfast Central, the newspaper front pages. At this point, we open the phone lines for you to call in as well, and then we'll bring you Which Way Nigeria, a very well thought out monologue that challenges status quo. And as we wrap up Breakfast Central, we'll share with you what's happening later today. But no, we're not wrapping up now. The news comes and then the newspapers.
Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's take a look at the breakfast headlines for this hour. Let's start by telling you that the leadership of the 10th Senate has postponed the passage of President Bola Tinubu's tax reform bills today, Wednesday, citing the need for proper scrutiny and thorough debate. The four critical bills, the Nigerian Tax Bill, the Tax Administration Bill, the Revenue Tax Board Bill, and the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, were sent to the Senate 6 months ago. They form a key part of the President's push to reform Nigeria's fiscal policies and boost government revenue. The delay in passing the legislation has sparked growing concerns, especially after the House of Representatives approved the bills 2 weeks ago. That move has placed mounting pressure on the Senate, also known as the Red Chamber, to take swift action. Today's session is expected to set the tone for the future of Nigeria's tax reform agenda, with lawmakers on the close public and political scrutiny. Well, let's continue to monitor proceedings from the National Assembly and bring you updates on the Senate's decision, of course, in our subsequent news bulletins. But now let's go to security matters. No fewer than 12 people have been killed and an unspecified number abducted in a coordinated attack by armed bandits on several villages in Maru local government area of Zamfara State. Zagazola Makama, a counterinsurgency expert focused on the Lake Chad region, disclosed this in a post on his X handle on Tuesday. Makama stated that intelligence sources told him the attack occurred on Monday at about 1:30 p.m. following a recent operation by Nigerian Army troops of Operation Fansan Yama, which targeted bandits' camp in the Dankormi forest. According to the report, the bandits stormed 7 communities in the Dankormi district, killing 12 residents and abducting others to an unknown location. Still staying with security stories, weeks after repeated attacks by suspected armed headers left hundreds killed in several communities of Plateau State, allegations are yet again being made about fresh killings, but this time in Barikin Ladi local government area. The national body of the Birom Youths Mode Association on Monday said another tragic night saw armed attack being perpetrated by suspected ethnic militants in Kakuruk village of Gashish district, Barikin Ladi LGA, where they reportedly opened gunfire and went as far as hacking 3 persons to death and 4 others injured at about 8:11 p.m. of 4th of May 2025, aside another 3 ambushed and shot dead on the 3rd, the night before Monday, around NTV of Barikin Ladi local government area. The local government council chairman of Garako, Bunkure, Kibiya and Rano local government areas located in Kano State have met with the families of the hunters allegedly killed at the Urumi in Edo State, urging them to wait for government's promise to ensure justice for the deceased. This was as they held a mandatory 40-day prayer for the deceased hunters with a protest at the Kibiya local government secretariat, alleging that government is handling the matter with kids' gloves, as no suspect is yet to be paraded over the crime.
Time is essence, and every day that passes deepens the pain of this family. Furthermore, we ask the federal government and the government of Edo State to stand by their word of commitment made during and after the incident. It is essential that justice is not only done but seen to be done promptly, fairly, and transparently. We have also noted reports that some suspects have been apprehended and transferred to Abuja. While this is commendable, we look forward to a public and transparent trial that will serve as deterrent to others and impose the rules of law in our country. Lastly, I wish to call on civil society organizations, human rights groups, and the general public to learn their voices and monitor the process closely. The involvement of independent actors will further guarantee fairness, accountability, and the trust of the people. The pain of losing loved one is immeasurable, but with justice, compassion, and collective effort, we can begin to offer this family a fast healing.
22 members of the State House of Assembly from the PDP, including Mr. Speaker, have officially defected to the All Progressives Congress. At the Tuesday plenary, Speaker Imamotimi Gowa gave reasons for their defections, making the 29 lawmakers of the House APC members. Let's also tell you that 6 members of the House of Representatives from Delta State have defected from the People's Democratic Party PDP to the All Progressives Congress APC. The notices of defection were read by the Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, during plenary on Tuesday. The lawmaker representing Ika North-East, Ika South Federal Constituency of Delta State, Victor Nwokolo, moved from the PDP to the APC, while Julius Pondi, representing Borutu Federal Constituency, left the PDP for the APC. Similarly, Thomas Erietomi, who represents Warri North, Warri South, Warri West Federal Constituency, moved from the PDP to the APC. Nicholas Mutu, a PDP member representing Bomadi Pantani, joined the ruling party along with his Isoko North, Isoko South counterpart, Ukodiko Jonathan. A first-term member representing Udokwa and Kwani Federal Constituency, Ezechi Namdi, also moved from the PDP to the APC. Let's quickly tell you that news from the Eastern African side has it that drones on Tuesday struck the airport and cut power across Port Sudan. The third straight day, the Sudanese army-aligned government seat of power has come under attack. The strikes, which also targeted an army base, comes a day after Sudan's main fuel depot was hit, causing a massive blaze just south of the eastern city, which had until Sunday been considered a haven for hundreds of thousands of displaced people fleeing the two-year war. Local sources reported loud explosions at dawn and plumes of smoke over the Red Sea coastal city. The RSF has not claimed the attacks about 650 kilometers from its nearest known positions on Khartoum's outskirts. And that's all we have for you on Breakfast Headlines. Don't forget to stay tuned to the news. Central can join us at 12, where we'll bring to you a more detailed and, of course, a full package of the news. Breakfast Central continues after the break.
£10 billion, that's how much the government wants to spend to power Aso Rock with solar energy. 10 billion naira just to keep the presidential villa running smoothly. Meanwhile, the rest of us were sweating in darkness, burning fuel we can't afford, and praying PHCN and the discos remember us. But let's be honest, this isn't about power, it's about privilege in a country where over 85 million Nigerians live without electricity, where hospitals run on fumes and kids do homework using candles and rechargeable lamps. Aso Rock wants to shine while the rest of us suffer. And now, just when Nigerians are turning to solar for survival, the Tinubu administration wants to ban the solar panel imports. Wait, what? You want to ban one thing that is actually working? When PHCN has failed, when diesel is a luxury, when the grid collapses so much, Nigerians are no longer shocked when it happens. What exactly are we banning it for? Because of local production. Where is the local production? Show us the factories. Show us the supply chain. Or is this just another cash grab dressed as patriotism? Let's be clear. Electricity is not a favor. It's not a gift from government. It's a basic right. One Aso Rock shouldn't monopolize while the rest of us grope in the dark. Solar should be everywhere in markets and farms and schools and slums, not locked away in Abuja like a national secret. This country doesn't need bans. We need backbone. We need vision. We need leaders who serve the people, not just themselves. We need light to get out of this dark tunnel. Good morning, Nigerians.
Very interesting there. Which way, Nigeria? What's the way forward? We're talking about the way forward. The front pages do have the latest stories on the way forward, and we're going to take a look at that right now. We do have our guest, Public Affairs Analyst Sheson Kwade joins us this morning. We say Ekaro.
Dalu, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's breakfast, right? But I miss hearing that, though. Let's talk about it. I miss hearing
a lot of things that we have missed. I think, was it yesterday I was discussing the issue of 1960-70 compared to this particular period. And what to leave that this morning? You wake up in the morning and that's
That's how you even know to wake up. So you hear the masks waking you up.
They're like
the logi will wake you up in the morning. You don't need to go to market. You just know that just be on the lookout. Today we want to eat akara.
Or the cockerel. But we heard the cockerel the other day interviewing the NBA president. Yes.
Yeah. I mean that's right. I mean, I'm sure has that and all that.
And those things, you just listen to them those days. And
then there was a popular one when I was growing up, you know, let me see if I can remember.
My mom and my grandmother used to tell me about these things, but I can't relate. I grew up in the UK. Stop, please.
I think all of this shows us that we all had sort of the same childhood.
That must have been interesting.
Those ones even.
I think by the time you say some of these things, people can guess where you grew up.
I'm a product of the UK.
In Surrey, it was very popular. You need to hear bread to wake up.
The one I know is era bread.
I really missed out your childhood, man. I wish I could relate, but unfortunately,
you grew up in the UK.
I grew up in the UK, and in UK we're business-like. So let's start with the newspaper. Oh, goodness. All right. Our first paper this morning, let's put it on the screen. Let's see if we can get it there. There it is. Daily Independent. NANS to raise committee to restore democratic order in Rivers. We talked about that, of course, to be led by Senator Koyemi Bamidele. That committee is to look into the situation. Serve Nnamdi Kanu with trial documents. Judge orders federal government lawyer. Yes, serve him with trial documents. Federal government unveils 10-year plan to address power sector manpower shortage. 10-year plan. All right, we get over 1,800 loan applications from students daily, Nelson says. And we'll also look at lawyers storm NAS, demand takeover of Benue Zamfara assemblies. I wonder what is going on. Benue Assembly rejects summons by National Assembly. Kwankwaso joining APC will bring crisis to party, according to minister. They're starting to run away from Kwankwaso being part of it. Our broad-based alliance rattling presidency, Atiku Abubakar says. But let's start off with, I think that one of the biggest stories on the front pages this morning has got to do with, let's start with the 10-year plan. I think that'll be a good conversation to start off from. Federal government unveils 10-year plan to address power sector manpower shortage. That's exactly what it says. 10-year plan. Anyway, let me keep my opinion to myself. I like it. Is it that we can't fix power?
Let's keep our opinion. Can we keep our opinions to ourselves, please?
So the question that comes to mind is we shouldn't expect stable and regular electricity.
There's a 10-year plan.
After the 10-year plan.
Rome was not built in a day.
I don't understand why Benga is asking why he feels we can fix it. This reminds me of how we started Vision. Remind me, we have this
Vision 2020.
No, before 2020, we started with Vision 2000. That was the Millennium, wherever that
Millennium
came up. Yeah, from there we moved to Vision 2010, 2020, 2030. Speaking of 2050, 2060, he speaks to how sincere and the willingness on the part of our leaders to take the country far. If now we are setting up a roadmap, because I know that's the word that will come after seeing those plans. So we set up committees again for 10 years. The question I'm putting before the government this day, all the initial plan, right from Obasanjo, with over $16 million investment in the power sector, the one done by Yaradua, the one that we've had with Jonathan and every other person. What is the result of all this up to today? 2013, we privatized this sector with the aim that there is going to be a revolution. Up till now, we're still where we are. In terms of generation, I was reading one of the headlines this morning where they said the Gencos are actually seeking the attention of Mr. President on the debt of over 4-point-something trillion that they are owing. And I'm asking myself, who is owing who? With a lot of funds. The credit I buy for my meter this day, I asked myself very soon, I think I should consider going, not using that power supply any longer. And we still come out to hear the TCN is owing the GENCO is owing so much. Where are all these funds going? People are fighting themselves, even couples are not cooperating because this power. Businesses are dying because it's strategic to the survival of every business activities. If you don't have power, last night I was around and I saw this organization running on diesel, and I was just talking to my wife. I said, you can just imagine the headache this organization will be going through, running diesel to sustain the overhead. And the staff will be asking, they are not increasing our salary, not putting into consideration what the energy cost is. See, this is another roadmap to some certain set of people. I hope that they will be able to invite those that grew up in UK, that understand what electricity is all about, to be part of the committee. I'm not calling names, but they know themselves. They have international affiliation to sit on that committee and give us the way that it should be, because they enjoy that in UK.
They are talking to you about you, those of you that grew up in the UK.
In UK, I'm sure power was not actually your problem these 10 years, so that you can bring to bear your experience, you know, that we can achieve this within the specific period.
Power goes off in the UK is if you don't pay or recharge your
meter, your PHCN card. Okay, so I think they can do that. But to be serious, I think we are just toiling with the future of this country. If we must look at 10 years plan, we must go back and ask ourselves, what have we achieved with all the plans we've had right from Obasanjo, with so much investment in that sector? What dividend have we gotten from the privatization? This administration, when they came in, the minister promised that with the increase in tariff, there will definitely be more availability. Have we been able to get that? People on Bande, you suddenly migrated a lot of people to Bande, and now we are talking of 10 years plan to see how we're going to get energy. I myself in that sector, I'm confused.
Right. Okay. I just want to also mention to our audience, if you'd like to share any of your experiences, maybe regarding electricity, or you want to react to any of the stories on the front page of the paper, please call the number on your TV screen to be a part of the conversation. Let's move down to the Nigerian Tribune. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, so many stories here. Senate proposes National Summit on Insecurity. Malls law on hunting to nip repeat of Uromi 16. Sets up 19-man committee to oversee emergency rule in Rivers. Reps to Parley Senate to restore democratic order, Speaker says. Tinubu meets Oberewori, other APC governors amid defections realignment. We will not honor Reps' invitation, Benue Assembly says. DSS removes Lanre Arogundade's name from its watch list. More CEOs worried about inflation, skills gap, according to a PwC report. 6 Delta PDP reps joined APC. 2 Enugu Labour Party reps moved to PDP. See, it's a lot of moving. Delta Assembly Speaker, 21 others defect to APC. Edo Assembly Speaker, others dump PDP for APC. Nigeria First policy, long-awaited relief to manufacturers. And this is according to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. They say that the policy will boost nation's GDP by 56% and reduce unemployment by 37%. CSOs seek explanation on 6 billion naira police uniform contract, files FOI request as Freedom of Information request to petition ICPC over alleged 234 billion naira police funds. 2 million children malnourished in Nigeria, second highest worldwide. And this is according to UNICEF. And finally, 10 years after, family, others to celebrate Oni Sijua Day. Let's start with the Nigeria First policy. We talked about it, we started the show with it this morning. The president talked about the renewed hope Nigeria First policy, where they're going to encourage local manufacturing, prioritize local manufacturers, and that before if they have, so they're kicking against importing as much as possible. And if they have to import, they'll first check to see that there are no local manufacturers who offer that same good or service. And in that case, if they're importing, they're then putting in clauses into the contract that will be signed to say there will be a technology transfer here in Nigeria, or they will set up shop, whatever the case is, so we don't have to keep importing. But do you think that this would be it's a very welcome move? And what are maybe the challenges of application that you foresee?
Yeah, you see, as far as this country is concerned, when you talk in terms of policy, we have it very good on paper. When it comes to implementation, that's where you have the problem. And a lot of people are seated looking at Mr. President on how to actually frustrate that effort, sabotage the effort, knowing fully well that nothing will come out of it. You know, let me cite this example of when we came up with the idea of loan to the students. Some of us I was against it personally, to say, invest that money in infrastructure to build the school and don't share money to people. But a lot of people were of the opinion that, no, there are vulnerable insurgent students that needs this money to go to school, let's make it available. Not too long, we all heard the story of misappropriation. Some people are diverting the funds and stories like that. I would say that this policy quite fantastic, but I have a problem. To produce locally is more expensive than importing some of these things, and the facts are there, out there. We just spoke about the issue of electricity.
Examples of some of this?
See, the electricity sector that we're talking about, we have so many meter manufacturers in the country. Ask, how many of these things are we producing locally? Majority assemble the SKDs, because by the time you look at your cost of operation, energy-wise, to put some of these things together, when you put it side by side, you know, importing some of those things, even with the exchange rate, is even far cheaper than you having it, you know, produced locally.
Yeah, so cost of production. Yeah.
If government must be intentional about this act, they should work on the infrastructure that is the business process of an average individual. We're talking about the issue of taxation. Go to average businessman, they will tell you of the multiplicity of taxation on what they are actually doing. Even though the tax bill will be passed today, as said by the National Assembly, we await that. But I still have a challenge. We always have fantastic policy. When it comes to implementation, there are people that will frustrate it. There are people that will subvert it in such a way that it does not see the actual reason why that thing was actually purported. And my worry is that we know some of the people that carry these things out, and we don't punish them. So having this to say, we will start reducing importation of things that we consider can be, you know, produced locally. I'm worried. People should be ready to pay more, because cost of production in the country is huge and it's high. A lot of factories now.
Isn't it that the cost of production is high because they have to still import materials, and a number of the materials they're importing, they're largely dependent on FX?
That one is there. Then the cost of operation itself locally. Power. You need to ask, power in particular, what if you are even giving them 24-hour supply? It's we can say, let's say it's manageable, but not that fair, because the other side of it is, I wish you can sit down with the management and ask them what it looks like to run this organization in terms of power. They will tell you that a lot of people, 60% of their cost are run for such. So when you have 60% of your cost going to energy that you are using in producing that particular thing, how do you intend to survive? You are going to pay your staff, you are going to import some of the raw materials we're talking about, because majority of them are not here. It's a good policy on paper, but actualizing it as a businessman, I will tell you, a lot of people will struggle. I'm just waiting for this fiscal, this bill that's actually before the tax reform bill to actually come to materiality. At least that will ease the business, because what is entrenched there is they are going to increase the threshold of people paying taxes. The VAT, some will be exempted, at least 200 million. So you can have liquidity to carry out certain operation. We have good thing inside that particular bill, if actually been passed. But my question is that the federal government must address the issue of energy. But I'm afraid. Why am I afraid? Now that the people that are supposed to actually work on power are considering alternative power supply, by actually getting so much billion to do solar from what they got rent to us
for the villa.
I don't understand the faith of an average businessman out there. That's my worry. The presidency is not believing in the national grid. Because when I picked up on one of them, I said, Sheson, but you're one of the people that said it's greener energy, that we should migrate and use renewable energy, renewable that. I say, who and who can afford that? In fact, Mr. President should be the last to actually promote that alternative power supply. We should be seen to actually be promoting how our national grid will improve. If the national grid can improve, a lot of people, when you say you're banning the riding of Okada on the road, I don't support it. But majority of the people that are supposed to work with power, with light, do not have the power supply. They can't afford it. So they have to resort to alternative things to do.
Well, I mean, the world would argue differently that we should be moving towards green energy, renewable energy. But that's another conversation, because you did talk about how many people can even afford this.
The affordability.
Affordability. I want to go back to the Nigerian Tribune and look at the story at the top of the paper. 2 million children malnourished in Nigeria, and that's the second highest worldwide. This is statistics by UNICEF. It's not me. This is not Bengal.
I wonder. Sorry to butt in, Olive. I wonder what the rebuffers will say about the UNICEF report.
They're trying to
the presidential handlers.
Yes.
That are always
anyone that comes.
It's their reaction that will actually know my response to some of these things. Because if you're talking of children being malnourished, I have.
Do you know the only country that is ahead of us?
Yeah.
Sudan.
Sudan. Yeah.
At least we have someone that is ahead of us. We are not the last. So the last time they were talking about out-of-school children, they came out and say the statistics was wrong. Akinwumi of AFDB came out to give some statistics.
He said like a politician.
He's sounding like his figures are actually wrong. This particular one too, we know, but we all know. We move around in the streets. If people are not begging on the street, go to their home. They are actually being malnourished in the things that they consume. Because the last time I visited the where they sell the supermarkets, people will say, I should be a supermarket you went to. I went to the open market. A crate of eggs is about 6,000, 6,500 now.
Yes.
That's the same egg that when they put on your food those days, they said every child needs 1 egg.
1 egg per day.
Per day. So 1 egg is about 500 naira now, if you must buy. So how many parents can? So if you have 3, that means to put egg, that means you take away the meat and provide that with 6,500 per crate. Who can afford some of those things to give to their children?
They'll say buy half.
Or they say must eat egg.
So must you eat egg? But while we are growing up, even though our parents were not that rich, it was one of the criteria. They read it to us. It's in our textbook. As you are growing, you must take 1 egg per day.
It helps. It's part of nutrition. It helps you develop, and it's essential for growth.
But we cannot afford it as we speak.
It's a national crisis. We need to do something about it.
Let me read the data, what we're seeing here. Of course, this was organized by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. It was said that 600,000 children are suffering from acute malnutrition, with half of them at risk of developing severe acute malnutrition. She added that the children with severe acute malnutrition are 9 to 11 times more likely to die. And now, talking about how to get out of it, of course, they talked about funding. The UN agency needs a combined $300 million to respond adequately to this issue.
Not even providing the funding that is my issue. You can get people that will come to your aid, but as soon as the money comes in, it fizzles into the hand of individual, and that will just be the end of the day. And that's why we keep saying that we need to put up a system that checks this activity of how people just divert funds and questions are not being asked, people are not being picked up from it. People can be so compassionate and say, oh, Nigeria is a great country. In fact, Africa relies on them. Let's provide some of these funds and make it available. As soon as they get, there was this loan that I think, was it during Buhari, that they said World Bank gave to us for poverty alleviation. As we speak, I don't know they have actually taken out. The last administration said they promised they would lift out 100 million out of poverty. What came out of that was we had another word, multi-dimensional poverty index. which we were not hearing before now. I don't know another slogan that we get from here. I think
to address a bad situation.
I think we just need to be intentional and speak true to ourselves that things are not smiling. Just yesterday, we were actually discussing on the issue of telcos, and I said, quite unbelievable that you buy data, and before you open your eyes and close it, it has disappeared.
Every 2 weeks, so. I bought 160 gig yesterday. I'll come and tell you when it's finished.
Does it, maybe what people are watching, I don't know.
So
heavy usage of social media.
It's still the same internet that I'm using now that I was using before.
That's exactly.
But my internet used to last me for a month. Yeah. So I watch TV sometimes.
It's what we're saying is, even in the increase of the data, the cost for data,
the usage to actually been compromised.
Is it the FCCPC that needs to monitor?
I think
the regulators, they need to have a metering system to also check.
And people will tell you that if you go abroad, I mean, like in the UK, I mean, all right, a 60 gig would take you for as long as you can imagine, but the same 60 gig in Nigeria doesn't do the same.
60 gig for someone like me will not even take me. I've actually been, before now, maybe with 30 gig a month, I'm fine with whatever I'm doing as far as
heavy
I'm fine.
User of,
but now 60 gigs does not even take me for 2 weeks.
I think it's time for you to move to Elon Musk.
Well, it's a big problem. It's a big challenge.
So when you put or when you accumulate all these things together, and somebody is saying we are actually developing and things are looking better, you ask yourself, the middle class cease to exist. It's either you are there or you are downtrodden. And with what Olive just mentioned, I think we have more to come because things are not smiling. The price.
I reject that.
Well, you know, you're a man of faith in UK. You guys have faith, but we are speaking to reality because prices of some of these food commodities are not coming down.
Yeah.
When the egg was about 4,000, we used to buy egg for 800 per crate.
We used to buy egg for, yes,
that's 800. So 500. When it got to 3,000, I was like, no, now this thing will be the peak.
Yeah.
Not until when I heard about 6,000, 6,500. And I'm asking myself,
what can we do? Is it redeemable to stop this bleeding, and also if it's possible economically, because it's almost like law of physics. What goes up
must eventually come down.
But can these things economically? Are there things we need to do to move to bring down the production, to bring down the price of food? Because our correspondent was in Benue, the heart of the food basket. And if the price of yam, which is almost like water in Benue State, is that high from what he said, then we're in trouble.
Can imagine what it will look like. So you see, I speak to this to say the fundamental problem we have that is bringing this increase in food prices is insecurity. Until we address that particular thing. Do you know at times the foods are actually being cultivated by those farmers when they are vested, while bringing it down, they are being hijacked. They are running at losses. These are things that by the time you address the issue of security and the clashes we are having between the herdsmen and the farmer, a lot of people want to put their hands, they want to put their investment in farming, mechanized farming. People want to travel and say, okay, you are in Nigeria, can we go into this, partner with you and get some of those things done? But when you cannot guarantee your return on investment after a specific period of time because of clashes and insecurity, there is no how those things to be. So I feel that the first thing we need to address, maybe when they are into the call, the National Assembly, you know, we like calling for committees, like setting up, inaugurating people, you know, meetings without having, you know, a concrete agreement on where to go. They say we should set up emergency, whatever, in terms of security.
Ad hoc committee.
You know, ad hoc committee to actually summit to look at that particular thing. It's fine. I want to believe that we can be invited to be one of the anchor of that when they inaugurate them. At least we'll give our professionalism in that area. Enough of all these committees being set up. The one we've set up, can we look into some of these things and see what we can get out of it? And they but security must be addressed if we must have food grown. If Benue is suffering that, you can imagine, because that's where we should have it freely. You go there, you take at a very reasonable price and come and sell to us at this side. You know that you feel that, okay, I need to make good money.
But it's not expensive.
But it's not expensive at source.
So
then the middlemen will just lash on it and they will just finish everybody.
And then at some point they were even cutting the yam like pineapple. You know, just to sell it. They're cutting it around
the sachet economy and people can't afford to buy a tuber.
So if it's that bad at the
just
food
before we
basket,
go, it will be important to talk about this. The headline of the Punch newspapers. Can we have the Punch newspaper up, please? Let's look at everything. National Assembly ex-generals demand urgent military rearmament. The rider says Senate moves to tackle killings as retired military chiefs reps lament insurgents' use of sophisticated arms. There's also a headline there, Defections, Okowa denies 500 billion naira refund claim as Obewori visits Tinubu, the new member, latest governor in the fold of the APC. I mean, some of those figures are earthquaking. You might even faint from reading it. 500 billion. How do you quantify? How do you even imagine 500
That's the
billion?
one that you type in the number in calculator before you know.
Is it even possible? And Senate may pass tax bills today. Panel to oversee EBAS. There's also JAPA. The UK is considering tighter visa rules for Nigerians and Pakistanis. They say, according to data, residents, the citizens of this countries are notorious for enjoying fish and chips in the UK. That they don't want to go back to their nations. And federal government kicks as part Utomi forms government. Shadow government. Okay. Let's start with the rising insecurity. National Assembly electionals demand urgent military rearmament. Just yesterday, there was news that a new Director General has been appointed for the Defense Industry Corporation, DICON, which is the organization responsible for locally producing military armaments and weapons. And they say the current situation of DICON, it's in a sorry state, away from its glory years in the past. So we've been seeing call for armament. There's also been calls for people to defend themselves, which we've never seen before, and all of that. Is this one of the solutions, so in your opinion, that might bring it into insecurity in Nigeria?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's one of the issues. You just said something that the new DG has complained severally of the state of agency is actually taking over. The question is, can we have a walk back? Funds not voted for that particular office to
on a
year-to-year basis, and we had that sort of state of that particular area. The people that have actually served there, can we ask them question what has happened? What transpired that actually created that setback to this? I think these are things we should start doing. Not this same person will come and all he will do is that, what did you do to my predecessor? Or even the predecessor advising him. You know, we now have people that will counsel you when you take new position to tell you this is the way we are doing it, this is the way to go. When you even try to make a difference, people ask you questions and say, it seems that you want to serve your fatherland and die there. For me, the way to go is to go back and ask questions. Money voted for specific areas. Hospitals are meant to be built. And one administration will come, another one will come and start that same project that they've actually funded in the last administration. Roads are to be constructed. Another administration will come right on the last one and voted out another fund for that particular thing. These are problems. The wastages that we have in this country is enormous, in such a way that if we are able to tighten up that thing with a system to say, this is how it goes, we will be able to have an inroad into the development. Whether you want to tell, because the next thing we've been hearing this, and the next word is that Mr. President is having a meeting with the security chiefs and he has given the marching order. The marching order from day one till date, I've asked myself, how much result have this yielded? It has compounded more killing.
Must we always wait for directives to come from the presidency?
Well, that's the way.
So what's your job in the first place?
That's the way we actually want it. They don't want to act outside the scope without having Mr. President's back.
I mean, Mr. President appointed you for a reason, so you should do your job.
I should you along, fair. You don't want to cross boundaries.
So you just want to have the instruction of Mr. President on the way to go. So I feel these are areas that needs to be addressed. I'm sure you're on this table. You have why you are actually being engaged, and they give you that opportunity. Nobody will come and say, I'm actually waiting for the MD to tell me what to say, or how to say, or how to go about it. You know the ethics before you're actually being engaged, and you can see some of those qualities in you. Same is applicable.
And that's why we're professionals.
Okay. And they are professionals too, but it's quite worrisome that insecurity keeps increasing. Just this morning, I heard there was another killing somewhere.
Yes.
Even 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Is there a day we will wake up and we'll hear of natural death? Not about that people are being ambushed and killed, or people that are traveling. Innocent people that do not even know anything will just be ambushed.
And very avoidable deaths.
These are avoidable deaths. I'm waiting for that day that we will not read in any of our headlines of people being, killed by some of these militants. And when you talk, the NSA will come and say, we are working, the Defense Ministry are working. We need to re-strategize, but the strategy I don't know, because I'm confused. Day by day, we think that we are getting closer, but it seems we are moving further from what the reality should be.
From the light story, I want us to quickly touch on this one. Jackpa, UK considers tighter visa rules for Nigerians than Pakistanis.
Joe, would you like to speak on behalf of Pakistanis?
Because we know a representative of the
UK. Since you have the UK, I mean, he's spoken on Nigerians. I think the Pakistanis will speak for themselves.
Olive, if you ask me, if they don't want you in the country, try and see the little you can contribute on your path here. If Benga can decide to leave UK and come here and contribute his quota, follow his step. Contribute your whole quota to your father's land, because there is no how Benga will stay in UK and call his name. And people will know that he's not a Nigerian.
He's not from
You just shutting your name to Ben.
Ben, okay, you ring the G and then Benga. So I think if they are tightening up to say that you are overstretching our infrastructure and that people are not enjoying what is meant for them, they are not wrong. They are not wrong. They are only telling us that stay back in your country and do the best you can do. If we are able to do what is necessary by our leaders, only if I keep telling people, put together all the money in the hands of all these our leaders that they are. Today you hear 500. Look at what you said. Somebody is saying that news is fake news. Whether it's fake, whether it's real, how can you imagine that somebody is rated 500 billion naira? Even if it is 500 million, it's alarming. And that we have in the hands of several leaders. Accumulate that together and see whether we will not put up 4 refineries. To the state-of-the-art refineries.
I absolutely agree with you.
So these are the problems that we are faced with, and a lot of them will use that money, whether it's 500 billion or 500 million or this, whatever the value is to speak to the fact that this money are in the hands of few, and they are using it the way they want to use it, oppressing the majority, and they dictate it. So if he has such money, will he be considering a lot of them does not even know whether PHCN exists in their environment. They don't even know, because light never, if that should happen, somebody will be fired. But we cannot fire them when they fail to produce the same to us as citizens of the country.
And that's how the circle continues. It keeps going back and forth, like that. Anyway, that's all on the show for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Shesokwade, for being here.
It's always a great time. So
thank you very much.
It's a great time when you get to
from the UK. Let's see what's happening later today. Right?
Yeah, that's how I say in the UK.
All right. If you're going to say that in UK, how do you say Jasiri?
Jasiri.
All right, Jasiri. Okay. In the game as well, the world of sports comes alive. Sadly, Barcelona lost. We didn't ask Shesokwade what club he was rooting for.
Shesokwade is a Chelsea fan.
10 p.m.
Man United.
Okay, I think this is where we have to wrap up.
Thank you so much
for more sporting news, join in the game.
Yeah, 1 p.m.
They'll give you.
Apologies to all Man U fans. They are looking forward to being in the final. Hopefully, it works for them. Hopefully. I'm Joe Hansen, by the way.
Take care.
I'm
Cheers. Have a fantastic day.